You're listening to Packers Talk Network.
Packers Talk.
Welcome to the Packers Weekly Podcast, part of PackersTalk.com network. I'm your host, Miles Teddick, joined by your co-host, Tim Hamilton. We are a couple diehard Packers fans, just love talking about the Pack. We are not getting into all the national sports media BS they wrap themselves up with. We talk about real football. We're diving into the top topics around the Pack every week, breaking down the games during the season, and also sorting through all the drama and rumors and the draft stuff of the offseason. If y'all want to support the podcast, please spike that like button for us. Most importantly, jump on over to YouTube, type in Packers Talk Network, hit that search button. You're going to find our channel, hit the subscribe button there. And in the time that you've heard me say this, you could have done it and we'd be done with that item on your list and we're moving on. So, of course, we got to talk about some important things here. Like, my goodness, we got 2 straight wins in the NFC North. We got a nice win to be thankful for on Thanksgiving, eating turkey with that one. Everybody getting turkey after that game. But of course, now we've got the rivalry, the OG rivalry. I like to call it. It's the original gangster of rivalries. This is the oldest rivalry in football and in sports. I don't want to hear about any of your other rivalries that are outside of the Packers and the Bears, because this is the only one that matters now. And we've got a meaningful rivalry on our hands here, Tim. This has been a little lopsided for a while. And now the Bears, we will give them their technicality. They're at the top of the NFC right now. For whatever that means nothing. But they certainly love it. The fans love it. And the Packers now have a reason to really just go and all gas, no brakes these Bears. That's what I'm looking for, of course. But before we get to all that fun stuff, the OG of rivalries, we got to talk business. We are once again sponsored by Wisconsin's own Ticket King. For over 30 years, Ticket King has been providing Packers tickets to Packers fans, as well as Bucks tickets, Brewers tickets, all those tickets, concert tickets, whatever tickets you're looking for in Wisconsin. You can find them on the web at theticketking.com or visit their locations in Green Bay and Milwaukee. And remember, support all of those local businesses. Tim, good evening, sir. How we doing, man?
Good evening, Miles. I'm doing great. Packers Bears week, huh?
Ooh, the OG of rivalries.
Yeah. The NFL's oldest rivalry, and this time it really means something because the delusional Bears fans think that they got a good team. So, yeah, it's a big one. NFC North, Lambeau Field, December football, first place on the line. Like, this is it. This is the biggest Packers-Bears game that we've actually had in a while now.
A long time.
Maybe going back to Randall Cobb's catch to win the division in Soldier Field.
Yeah.
Right? So
was that 18?
That might. Oh no, that was longer than that. That was probably 13, I think, 12 or 13.
14.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a meaningful play in 18 that they made? I can't keep
Well, that
18
was the
one that they lost.
Nah, well, 18 was when Rodgers got hurt and came back in the second half and won.
That's what it was.
But that was a season opener. I mean, it was a season opener, so it's important, I guess, to start the season. But that Packers team ended up not being any good, and so yeah, I think this is the one where both teams are actually good later in the season now, and first place is on the line. So yeah, it's exciting time as the Packers get to run through the NFC North again, coming off Vikings and Lions victories, and might as well beat the third team in the division too, right? Beat them all.
Why not? I mean, go for the sweep. We already said we're getting the brooms out. We're doing this thing. We're going for the sweep, and so we got to keep sweeping. So the Bears are next on that list. It's like that meme, the Grim Reaper meme, where he's just knocking on the doors, and the Bears are next, man. So this is interesting though, because Bears fans legitimately believe that their team is the real deal here, and I think the rest of the NFC North we're crying fraud a little bit. I certainly am. They feel like the Vikings a few years ago. What was that? A couple years ago when the Vikings, not last year. I mean, last year was an impressive year, but There was a couple years ago where we all knew they were frauds, and of course they got in the playoffs and got it handed to them. And this feels the same to me. And of course, I'm biased. I'm definitely biased. I, obviously, no love lost for the Bears, but you beat the Eagles. That was an impressive win. I give you that. Outside of that, I just don't see it, man. Like I don't see. I don't see an exciting team, a scary team. They run the ball well. That's good. Their defense isn't good. They're reliant on turnovers, which the Packers are the best at protecting the ball. So it's just like, to me, I again, biased, but I'm looking forward to the Bears fans getting a little bit of a rude awakening here. But there's a debate to be had, right? I mean, like, are the Bears fans, are they right? Like, are the Bears actually good?
Are the Bears fans ever right about anything?
Well, no, they haven't been right in 100 years. So
it's just, usually we hear this all off season, and then we get the real football, and reality hits them pretty quickly that their team still sucks. So now this year we're just dragging it out a little longer, and eventually, whether it's in December or in the playoffs, they're going to get beat, and they're going to realize their team wasn't as good as they thought it was. So they have hope, and that's nice for them. They're getting real cocky though, especially after the Eagles game that they won. So, I think they're definitely a little fluky. The Eagles win was impressive. I'll give them that, especially offensively. I didn't expect them to pound the ball on the Eagles like they did and just tear apart that defense. I wasn't too, like the Eagles' offense is a complete mess right now. So them shutting down the Eagles' offense doesn't really do anything to me because everybody's shutting down their Eagles' offense. But that was the first win where I was like, yeah, that's an impressive win for the Bears going on the road and short week, and a team in the Eagles that really needed a win. And you beat them in their home stadium, and you beat them convincingly. That was the first one. Other than that, I think I'm with you. Like, a lot of their stuff's been close games. They've beaten some bad teams. They've gotten some backup quarterbacks. I mean, they played the Steelers with Mason Rudolph. I think a healthy Aaron Rodgers beats them in that game. And just a lot of close, kind of fluky, pulling the game out at the end, relying on turnovers, all this stuff. And I feel like we've seen this movie before from the Bears. Like, that's the first year, new coach. They get the first year coach bump with a young quarterback. It reminds me of when Matt Nagy came and took over, right? And he was.
They've had that honeymoon period with every single one of them.
Right. But I mean, it, to me, was like, it's shades of Nagy because he was the young, hot offensive head coach they brought in. They had the young quarterback who they were developing, Trubisky, right? And they got off, and they were winning a lot of fluky games going back to that year, which I think was the 2018 season. And it was like, this team isn't that good. They're not real. And they ended up winning the division, got the playoff game. They lost the playoff game. And then after that, it was all downhill, and it was proven to be fool's gold. This has a lot of the same feel. Like, I think there are some things going for them. I think Ben Johnson is a really good play caller and schemer and really good offensive head coach. Time will tell if he's a really good head coach. And I think their quarterback, we can talk about Caleb Williams, but I think there's a ceiling on Caleb Williams. Like, I don't think he's even playing that good. I think he's getting boosted a lot by some luck and a really good running game. And then they're just overly relying on turnovers and defense. And that can take you and win you games, but eventually it catches up to you. When the turnovers, the takeaways start drying up, you get exposed. And it's eventually going to happen to them. They're due for a loss. They're due for, a reality check. I think they're a playoff team. I think they're certainly going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're even remotely close to a Super Bowl team. Even in this season where it's so wide open, there are no great teams. It could be one of those years where the 7th seed in each conference goes on a run and makes the Super Bowl. It's wide open, but I don't see them being able to go into the playoffs and, win 3 games in the NFC to get to the Super Bowl. I don't see it. I don't think they're good enough. I think their luck is going to run out. And then we'll see, like, as far as their future goes, I think there's certain things that they have that are nice, that are in place. But I think they're missing big pieces. And I don't think they have the right team building philosophy with their GM to, like, put those pieces in place. And to me, like, when you're looking at Packers Bears, just big picture, the Packers have the 2 best players, 2 biggest difference makers when you're comparing the 2 teams. Jordan Love and Michael Parsons. They're better than anybody else the Bears have. And that's what it comes down to, is like who has the best team, the best players, the difference makers. The Packers have more than the Bears, and I don't think that's changing. So I'll take the Packers' chances any day of the week over the Bears. I think the Packers are much more set up for a chance at a longer run in the playoffs this season, and certainly long term, I like their prospects a whole lot better than where the Bears are. Bears are definitely improved, and I'll give them that. And I think there's, with the Ben Johnson hiring and him being there, gives them the ability to kind of be a team that's around. Like they're not going to fall off necessarily and be a 4-win team year after year, but I also think they have a ceiling with the quarterback that is much lower than what Jordan Love is. So, yeah, I think they're a good team right now, but I think a lot of it's they're catching teams at the right time. They've been fluky, things that just aren't sustainable in the long run. And it's going to catch up. And hopefully that's real soon, because we get them twice in 3 weeks now.
Well, Greg Taylor says not so fast, man. Appreciate you, Greg. Appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. He says we can't underestimate the Bears. We let number 1 seed slip early this season. Time to reclaim it. I agree. I mean, this is a very, very advantageous matchup here with the Bears. The timing of it being at Lambeau, I think, is advantageous. And they're 9-3. Your record doesn't lie. You're 9-3. You won 9 games. That's great. You've lost 3, and those are interesting 3 games that you lost. But the other thing is, when we're sitting here talking about who's the better team between the Packers and the Bears, we're going to hear the chatter from the Bears fans, and they're going to hear it from us, and it's heating up out there in the old Twitterverse. But if I were to take the circumstances of the Bears and hand them to Packers fans would not be happy. Packers fans would not be chirping about Super Bowl because they're 9-3. They would be the ones saying, I think we're frauds. I think you would hear that the loudest from the Packers fans if they had the Bears' circumstances right now. Because you have things where kind of like last season, right? Like last season, there were things that, on paper were not bad, but Packers fans saw through that, like the pass rush, right? And I remember making that point, like, hey, they got I think it was like the 6th best pass rush or the 6th most sacks or something at the time when people were saying the pass rush stinks. And it's like, well, I mean, on paper, pretty good, but you can see those things and they bother you because you're like, wait a second, I see through this. Yeah, that worked out over there, but this doesn't look good. If we keep doing things this way, it's not going to end well. And that's one of the reasons Packers fans have been less than satisfied sometimes in wins, and certainly hypercritical in losses. But that's where I look at the Bears' circumstances and I go, I wouldn't be excited about that. As a fan, I'd be nervous. And certainly the win against the Eagles probably makes you feel better about it. But and again, we're biased for sure. So, come on, Bears fans, come on and tell me why I'm wrong. But that's how I feel, right? I look at Caleb Williams with a 58% completion percentage. Like 58's not good. Like that's not even not bad. That's not good. You're not happy about it. If Jordan Love had a 58% completion percentage, we would be pissed. Like the Packers fans would not be happy. You talk about how much we've been wanting to fire LaFleur or fire Stenovich, whatever, how unhappy we are with the play calling. Jordan Love's at like 67, I think, completion percentage. It's pretty good. I'm going to pull up his numbers, but it's not even close to 58. I'll tell you that much right now. And that's the part where that's just the first step. We haven't even gotten close to analyzing and breaking down all of these things. But when you take, the most important position on the field and you compare one of the most obvious stats for the both of them, yeah, I mean, there's a massive, there it is. It's Jordan Love's at 67% on the nose. 67% versus 58% is huge. That's massive. That's a big gap. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't feel good about being on the wrong side of that gap. That's for sure. Now, you can dive into the other things, interceptions, whatever, and Caleb Williams has some touchdowns and a 17-5 touchdown to interception ratio. Not bad. not bad at all. He's got 19 sacks. Jordan Love's got 17. Pretty comparable there. So it's not that Caleb Williams just stinks, right? We can't just come out and be like, hey, this guy stinks. He's not a good quarterback. You can't say that, but there's holes there, So that's when I look at it and go, the Packers defense is playing pretty damn good. And I get it, DY's out, and that's not good, but they're playing really well. They're going to, Caleb Williams is going to have to bring his best to perform well against this Packers defense the way that they've been playing. And that's the part where I'm like, what is his best? Like, what are we looking at there? Like, and how often is he able to conjure that up? Because even in an impressive win against the Eagles, he didn't look good. He had what, like 150 some yards, an interception. He didn't look good. So that's where I'm like, we don't even have to get deep into this thing, and the comp really leans heavy for the Packers.
Yeah, totally agree. And you can just mention the stats that you talked about, but all the advanced stats, the EPA per play and the turnover worthy play, all the advanced stuff. Jordan Love's not only better than Caleb Williams this year, he's significantly better. He's
on the other end of the chart.
Yeah, he's top 5, top 3 in the league. He should be in the conversation for among the best quarterbacks in the league this season. Whereas Caleb Williams, you're talking about a quarterback who a lot of these advanced stats are saying he's like 20th, 25th, somewhere in there. And I'm not saying like ultimately that's what he is, but he's avoided the sacks much better this year, but he's still holding the ball for a long time, right? He doesn't turn it over much, but he's missing some easy routine throws. Like, there's some improvement in his game, certainly, but there's a lot that's still lacking. And some of the stuff that's lacking is things that he's kind of been like, and it hasn't gotten better. And I don't know if it ever is. I know he's a second-year quarterback and all, but I think the system's propping him up a lot too. The running game certainly is. The improvements on the offensive line have propped him up, whereas I think Jordan Love props the rest of his team up, right? Like, he's the one that's pulling his team along, whereas Caleb Williams is more along for the ride. And to me, the argument with Packers or Bears, like, I respect what the Bears have done. I know what their record is. I'm not at all like taking this game lightly or overconfident or anything like that. Like, it's a really tough matchup for Green Bay. And I think the Bears are certainly a playoff team. If we're talking about big picture, whose situation would I rather have? It's the Packers all day. And it's, this is a 1-year blip on the screen for the Bears. Like, we don't know what the future holds. Maybe they can keep getting better and sustain this year after year, but like, we've seen this before. They get a new coach, they think they've turned it around, they have their 1-year luck, and then they kind of fall apart and they're a laughing stock, right? Like, the Packers have had sustained success over and over the years, and their kind of blip is like, oh, they missed the playoffs. Well, now they're going to make it 4 or 5 years in a row, and we'll forget about that one. Like,
right.
They know how to build a franchise and how to keep that successful franchise moving along. Whereas the Bears don't know what the hell they're doing. We've seen that from the different head coaches they've hired, the different quarterbacks they've run through, the different philosophies as far as how they're building out their roster. Like, it never works out for them in the long run. Maybe this is the change with Ben Johnson, though they still have I don't like the GM there, Ryan Poles. I think he's made a lot of mistakes over the years, but maybe it's the change for them. But I don't see how you can like just go off of 12 games that they've played and be like, yeah, they're set up completely for the future, and just ignore what's gone on for the last 30 years with them. Whereas the Packers have had that sustained success, and you see it now. Like, 3 weeks ago, we're talking about like, man, if this doesn't improve soon, LaFleur's job's in jeopardy. And now he's their head coach. He looks a lot better. The offense looks a lot better. And like, we're talking about beating the Bears, being first place in the division, having a shot at a number 1 seed. Like, we should have known better back then. And they've proven it over the years. They have the coach, they have the quarterback, and they keep it together and keep building their team. So, yeah, I mean, to me, it's not even close. If we're talking, for where they are and what's to come, I take the Packers without a doubt all the time.
Well, we got our first Bears fan in the chat here, Jedediah Harper. Appreciate you joining us, Jedediah. This is Bears fan here. No hate. Just want to say I'm excited for the matchup for the first time in years. It should be game of the year, in my opinion. I like that. Now, maybe the one at Soldier Field has to end up being game of the year. The second of the two matchups, but yeah, no. Hey, listen, let's certainly take a second to appreciate the rivalry, the meaning of it. It's a meaningful game, I think, is what meant to say. Or you're excited for the first time in years. So yeah, I mean, it is. It's very meaningful. You know, we can sit here as Packers fans and say, well, maybe they're frauds at 9-3. Well, so what? They're number one in the NFC right now.
They won 9 games. Yeah,
that's just is what it is. So, you know, there's definitely meaning on the line, and I don't think anybody can underestimate it. I certainly, man, if we get on the other side of this game, we talk about somebody underestimating somebody on either side. What a disappointment that would be. Let's not even bring that energy into the universe here. But yeah, I'm excited too. I appreciate that, and I think that I've kind of detected that from Bears fans as well. It's not just, you know, us spitting fire at each other. You know, we're kind of all excited that this game is meaningful because, again, it's the OG of rivals, right? Like this is this is the rivalry, guys.
There's always meaning to it because it's the right, but like having two teams this late in the year, the that are playoff teams, going to be playoff teams, like it's rare now in this rivalry. It just hasn't happened much over the years. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely be excited about it. It's something special because we just haven't seen it with both teams being in it like this late in the season. So yeah, this one's more special. And, you know, they moved it to a late afternoon kickoff to get, you know, more people watching on Fox. It's a big one. And both teams are coming off huge wins over Thanksgiving weekend. So yeah, it just completely adds to it. So yeah, be excited for it. If you're a Packer fan, if you're a Bears fan, it's going to be fun.
The tailgate at Lambeau is going to be awesome. Top notch. I know that for sure. I haven't looked at the weather forecast, but boy, a snow game would be cool. I know there's some weather blowing around, so maybe it'll happen. But yeah, and then we got Nases Logic. You've been hanging out with us a little bit, man. I'm gonna get your name right eventually. But it says this reminds me of the Vikings and Lions last regular season game when everyone thought they were closer than they really were. Hey, man, could be. You know, that's the thing where, you know, we can get down into this thing and start really breaking down position by position or matchups and stuff like that and go, you know, what do you think? And it's going to be hard not to talk about the quarterbacks. I really, you know, and then the Bears have some good running backs, and obviously the Packers running game is going to be a part of this, whether we like it or not. The floor is going to make sure it is. But rightfully so. We love Josh Jacobs, and Emmanuel Wilson is having a great season too. So two great running games, I think, going head to head here. So you might end up with maybe a little bit of a more boring game than you think, right? There may not be a whole lot of sparks flying from the quarterbacks. But, you know, when you look at how Caleb Williams plays and how the Packers defense, anybody that's had success against them, what that's taken, you have to be able to have the quick game down, man. Like, you have less than 3 seconds. You have less than 3 seconds, and Micah Parsons is in your lap. And Caleb Williams, that is not good at that. That's not what he's good at. Now, he's athletic, so, you know, will he be able to roll out and extend the play? Yeah, you know, he'll win that way on certain downs. But I think as a whole, you know, this is where, you know, Ben Johnson has to go earn that money. As a whole, you have to have a plan to get that ball out in less than 3 seconds if you're Caleb Williams and that offense. And I don't think that's how they're built, you know, and I guess it depends on how they loosen things up with the run game.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb Williams hasn't shown that he can get the ball out quick and on time and in rhythm consistently. So until he shows it, like, he can't do it, right? Like, he hasn't proven he can do it. And I think that's got to be their game plan, is the ball's got to come out quick. And obviously they want to run the ball really well. And I think from a Packers standpoint, you got to keep him in the pocket. Like, don't let him get out and extend plays and, you know, have his chances to scramble and run for first downs or get outside and, you know, make off-schedule plays down the field. Like, keep him in the pocket. You got to be careful with your rush, but keep him in the pocket. Make him hold it, because, you know, if he holds it a little bit, Parsons, whether he's got to go through 2 or 3 guys, is going to get there if you hold the ball. So
yeah, and we've seen it.
Yeah, and don't give him the easy completions that get the ball out of his hand, like underneath. Like, don't contest everything. Make him have to beat you deep down the field, and obviously it's going to all start with how they match up, how they're able to slow down the Bears running game. Because if the Bears are able to run on them, especially what we saw against Philly,
that's a whole different game.
Yeah, it's going to be real tough. It's going to be real tough. But I'm a lot more concerned with the Bears running game than I am with anything Caleb Williams is going to do.
And we got Chris the Casual in with us, says, let's get jacked up, fellas. I know where you're at, Chris, man. You know the Packers are winning this game. Can't wait to hear your score prediction, man. And so when we get further into the analysis of this game, Caleb Williams and containing him in the pocket and getting the pass rush after him, and we're talking about who's the better team. We can kind of zoom out a little bit here because we got to think about Devontae Wyatt not being there, and so
yes.
you start to think about like who's the better team. A little bit of like forward looking, who's going to dominate the North over the next few years between these two teams? Will the Packers continue bullying the Bears, or will the Bears actually have a say in that? The defensive line has a lot to do with that. And I think what we're learning this season is Devontae Wyatt is very valuable. Now, maybe they'll probably extend him. I don't know that that's the conversation that needs to be had, is whether you extend him or not, but if you're one Devontae Wyatt away from that D-line stinking it up, you need to go get another one. You like, that's got to be a priority. And I'll tell you what, I trust the Packers front office more than I trust the Bears front office. So I think you kind of alluded to that as well. The Packers front office, when they see a gap in something, they have thrown resources at it to fill it. It's not always been right. And we can sit there and you guys can bring up negative examples of when Goot missed on that guy, when he missed on this guy. And I get it. We could have had Creed Humphreys. We could have had Terry McLaurin. There's a lot of could-haves. You're going to miss some of those things. But overall, we're talking about not having first-round picks here for the next couple of years. Great. Because a lot of Goot's best picks have been after the first round. And they've been in those positions of need where you thought you filled the need with the early round pick, and it turns out the later round pick was actually the one that worked out better. Kraft being better than Musgrave, or Evan Williams is probably better than Bullard. And there's several of these examples where in the later round, that's where the better player came from. Carrington Valentine's looking like a pretty damn good 7th round pick compared to some of these other guys that he's up against that are making a lot of money. And I trust Goot to be able to restock the cabinet with those non-first round picks. But I don't want to get too far off course here. We're talking about who's better between the Packers and the Bears. I'm trying to have a little bit of a parallel conversation with, now and the on the horizon. But the Packers definitely need to figure out life without Devontae Wyatt. Obviously, this season he's out the rest of the season. We're going to get a look at what that looks like against the Bears here this week. Now, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to how they replaced him against the Lions, but the wheels didn't fall off when he went out against the Lions, so that was a good sign. But this Bears running game, man, it's good. You got to stop it. Can they do it without Wyatt?
Wyatt's a huge piece, and it's not just this week. It's going to be every week going forward to not have him. Now, he's missed time already this year. He missed time last year, so they're kind of used to not always having him in there. But when he's in there, when he's healthy, he's going, he has a huge impact. More of a pass rusher than a run stuffer, but obviously to not have him in there against the run is big too, because there's a drop off to like the next guys up. And I think number one, it's Carl Brooks has to get healthy. He got hurt. I think it was the Giants game. Tried to play against the Vikings, only made it through like a handful of snaps. Didn't play against the Lions. It's an ankle injury, so I don't know if he's going to be available for the Bears game. If you get him back and healthy, that helps. But then you're talking about the two Georgia rookies, and Warren Brinson's been playing more, and he's definitely shown some flashes, so he's going to get more snaps and more opportunity. But I mean, you're relying on a 6th-round rookie, and then an undrafted rookie in Stackhouse, who's just a run stuffer. That's tough. They're going to be asking a lot of those two Georgia kids to step up. Can they do it? Maybe. Like, to me, I just want them to be really good against the run. I don't need – if we don't get much pass rush out of those defensive tackles, because Colby Wooden doesn't give you pass rush. He's a run stuffer. That's fine. Stop the run, and I'll let Micah Parsons and Gary and Van Ness when he's back. Let Kingsley and Abari, who I think is having quietly a decent year for them, let those guys rush. Just stop the run inside. But it's going to be tough, and it doesn't look like they're making any kind of outside additions, whether that's signing a veteran off the street. Not that there's much out there at this point anyway, or signing somebody off another team's practice squad. So it's going to be those 4 guys, Wooden, Brooks, and then 2 Georgia kids. Going to be really tough, and they get tested right away against the Bears, whose running game was excellent against the Eagles. So, yeah, the Wyatt loss is huge. I think in passing situations, once Van Ness is back, whenever that may be, and it doesn't sound like it's going to be this week, he can kick inside and rush a tackle. He was doing that a little bit early in the year before he got hurt, and they go to their cheetah package where Parsons is kind of, sometimes he's on the edge, sometimes he's standing up in the middle, and they kick Van Ness inside to rush. So, like, he can do that, especially 3rd and longs, they can do that. But I think it's really going to come down to the 4 guys they have at tackle right now. And it's time for Brooks to get healthy and step up, and then the 2 Georgia kids, like, I know you're rookies, but you've played 12 games now. Like, it's time to man up. You've had your welcome to the NFL. It's time to step up now. So, and it's scheme too, right? Hafley's got to help out. They may have to commit more guys to the box to stop the run on, more consistently. Evan Williams has been great against the run. He has been a missile coming up to the line of scrimmage. He was excellent against Detroit, so he's a factor in it too. Your linebackers, but yeah, it's a tough task to replace Wyatt, and there's no one player in the roster that can make up for it. But they all got to play a little better, especially against the run. And like I said, it's going to get tested against the Bears.
Yeah, and that to me is, this is what you paid Hafley for. This is what you brought him in for. This is where you need him to shine is, and it's funny, you and our friend Bill Passes here had the same comment about the same time. Bill says it's going to take a good scheme game to game to create a good run defense. And I totally agree. At this time of year too, there's not a lot of deception happening this time of year because everything's on film. You've got a lot of games now that a lot of data out there about tendencies, and you've put a lot of the playbook out there already. Now what you're going to see is each game you're going to be able to take some matchups and let's tweak this concept. Let's tweak this play because this is how they play it, and we can take advantage of this thing. That's what we're looking for here. So we need creativity, kind of like what you're describing, from Hafley to account for that. And I'm not saying they're Pro Bowlers or all pros, but the Georgia rookies, you got the talent there, you got the size there, they can do it. They're capable bodies, but I think you have to put them in good position to not get taken advantage of. Right? It's probably easy, and this is where you bring Micah Parsons into the picture. It's probably easy for a team to see rookie D linemen and say, well, we're going to confuse them, we're going to double them, or chip them. Just take advantage of young guys maybe that are over ambitious or easily confused. But you can't do that when you have to account for Micah Parsons. And you certainly can't do that if you've got to account for Micah Parsons plus somebody else like a Rashawn Gary. And I know that Rashawn Gary's been getting a little bit of criticism, rightfully so. You got to play more snaps. We're not going to get into all that. That's a very tedious conversation. At the end of the day, if you're producing, man, I don't really care how. And that's probably controversial. But I take this for what it's worth. Rashawn Gary is actually one of your better run defenders. So the guys that you've got on the edge, Parsons, Gary, even Enagbari, and when he comes back, Van Ness, but those guys can make the guys in the middle right when they're wrong. And that's where I want to see Hafley come in and help them out. Don't let them get taken advantage of. And if you do that, I think they'll be just fine. I think they'll be serviceable. I think they can win one-on-ones. They can plug gaps. They can get lower leverage. But don't let them get taken advantage of. And I think that's something that, and I didn't watch a whole lot of the Philly Chicago game, but that's probably what they did to the Philly D line. There was and I saw a few breakdowns on social media, and that's what it looked like. It looked like there was a lot of confusion. And hats off to Ben Johnson. Some of the counters that he was running, I don't care how big and mean and strong and fast you are, man. If you aren't in the right place and you don't know how to get yourself in the right place, you're screwed. And you may be the biggest, meanest dude on the field, but they're just going to run around you. And that's kind of what it looked to me like the Eagles did, or the Bears did to the Eagles. But I don't want to speak out of school here because I didn't watch a lot of the game. But what did you think about it?
No, I was just going to add the other thing that can really help your run defense is you can get the lead and keep playing with the lead.
Oh, yeah, you can get the lead.
Right, like enough. No more of these, and they didn't do it against Detroit, but no more of these slow starts, slow first halves. Like, go out there and get a lead and keep playing in front, and that's going to take a team out of their running game, right? Like, I know it sounds simple and all, but they've played around too many times in these like games where you barely have possession because the other team's on the field. Then you get the ball and you have it for a while because you're not able to make plays down the field, and you end up making a mistake or missing a kick or turning it over or whatever it may be. And next thing you know, you're into the third quarter already, and
you've touched the ball twice or something.
Yeah, and you barely have had the ball. So get out to a lead, get out the fast starts, and start putting points on the board. That's going to take teams out of the running game too. So, and I think there might be times, and it might be this week against the Bears, where you're going to have to play a little differently than you want to play as a defense, because you got to commit more to the running game, and that may be more run blitzes, that may be bringing more guys into the box, that selling out more to stop the run, and maybe having to leave your cornerbacks on an island a little more than you want to, and that scares me. But I think from a coverage standpoint, Carrington Valentine's been really good. I know the tackle he missed against Jamison Williams was awful, and he can't miss that tackle, but I think he's been damn good in coverage. You might have to sell out and commit more scheme-wise, personnel-wise to stopping the run. And I know that's not what they necessarily want to do as a defense, but when you lose a player like Wyatt, and when you're going up against a running game like the Bears have, 200-yard rushers against a really good defense in the Eagles, you got to do it, and you got to be game plan and team specific. And we're starting to see the offense do that. We saw a very specific game plan for the Vikings game, and a lot of people got upset about it because it was conservative, but it was conservative for a reason.
It worked.
And then, you can't play like that against the Lions. Well, no kidding. They knew you couldn't play like that, and you saw a completely different game plan against the Lions, much more aggressive, put the ball in Jordan Love's hands a lot more. So defensively, you may have to get more creative and get more team specific from a game planning standpoint.
Yeah, and it looks like they're doing that, so that's a good sign. If we were seeing the Joe Barry special, I'd be worried, but doesn't look like what they're doing. And hats off to Halfley. He hasn't stayed stagnant on anything. Any kind of criticisms we've had of them. They go off and get hung, 40 hung on them by the Cowboys. They responded. They fixed those problems. And, they've shuffled the deck at DB regardless of who's getting paid what. They're figuring it out, and it may not happen all at once, but at least we can see evidence that they're figuring it out. And I think that was one of my big gripes about the offense earlier in the season is it didn't look like they were even figuring it out. Right? Like it just looked like they were repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again. It's just like, no, don't do that. Please spare us. But yeah, so I have faith in Halfley to, at least attempt, right? He may not even, what he tries might not work, right? It may backfire, but make the attempt. And if you're wrong, try to correct it. Those are the things we can hope for and ask for. But I think when you're just looking at these two teams, the Bears offense against the Packers defense, just head to head, the matchups, yeah, I like the Packers defense, man. And you're saying, maybe force them to get downfield, test your DBs. That can make you a little nervous. It doesn't make me that nervous because I don't know. I don't trust Caleb Williams' ability to get to them. They might hit a play here and there. They're going to score points. They're not going to shut them out. But I don't see Caleb Williams being able to get it to his guys downfield consistently, especially with Micah Parsons running around. Like that, he's too fast. Like Caleb Williams is a good athlete. Micah Parsons is better. Like it's just true. But that's the part to me where I think I look back and go, I hope they can stop the run. They stop the run, I think you win the game. I just don't see Caleb hanging 300 yards on you. I just don't see it. I could be wrong, but I don't see it. So, and we got some friends in the chat here. We got Bobby Santoro says only free agent defensive tackle available that could help would maybe be Christian Wilkins. And that's an interesting one. I get the talent, man, but it sounds like he's a weird dude. And I don't know if you want to introduce that kind of thing to the locker room right now.
There's that, and he had a foot injury, and that's there was a dispute with the Raiders about they wanted him to have surgery on it. He didn't want to, and basically that's why they ended up cutting him loose. And I think there might have been a grievance or something about the contract. But like, is he even healthy? Right? Like he's been sitting around all year. Is he healthy? Has he had foot surgery? You don't know if he's healthy. And then there were some weird locker room stories that came out with him and the Raiders and stuff. So, I mean, if he's healthy, I would definitely check in, bring him up to Green Bay for a visit. But at this point,
I don't know. You got enough people in your locker room that knew the guy in their locker room before. So,
well, I don't.
Probably a reason you haven't.
He wasn't there that long. Like Hobbs would know him, but like I don't.
Jacobs would know him, wouldn't he?
Jacob, I don't know if they overlapped. I feel like last season was his first year there, and Jacobs was already gone.
Okay.
I believe. So yeah, I think they would have missed. Hobbs would know if you want to trust Nate Hobbs. I don't know, but
yeah.
And if you're only getting them for the last half of the year, that's more of a risk. That's almost like when they signed Andre Rison, who had a lot of issues off the field. To like you just take the risk at that point in the season. But depending on what it is, I don't know the full story. But the injury thing is enough where if he's not healthy, then obviously no way. I was thinking they'd go and get somebody off another team's practice squad that they like, but then and they still might end up doing that. But that kind of player is probably not going to give you any kind of immediate impact. He's kind of just going to be a depth guy behind Stackhouse and Brinson. But just from a number standpoint, if there's somebody they like in another practice squad, maybe that's the route they go. Well,
they've done it before, right? They've hit on those before, so you can't you can't overlook that entirely. But and there's been the lack of action to this point kind of tells you that they're confident in the guys they got, and they've said that before, and whether they're right or not doesn't really matter. If they believe it, that's what they're going with. And then we got let's see here. Mr. Inglewood says, and the Packers should be able to run on the Bears with the injuries to their linebacker unit. That's true. Is it Edmonds that's out?
Yes, I think Edwards is hurt too. I'm not sure if I thought I saw one of them maybe back this week, Edmonds or Edwards, TJ Edwards, the old Wisconsin Badger.
Old Badger, yeah, man.
Yeah, but I think either way, I think this is a big Josh Jacobs game. Like I got a feeling this might be his best game of the year. I hope. I think you can run on them. I think they need to have that balance. I don't think you can just because their secondary is getting healthier. They got Jalen Johnson back. They got Kyler Gordon back for the Eagles game. So they're getting healthier. They got veterans in their secondary. So I think you got to have balance. And I think this is big Josh Jacobs game with the running game. Protect the football too. I mean that's number one because they've been feasting off the turnovers. But yeah, I think they can run on the Bears. I think Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson. I think this is the game where they have a big breakout running game this week.
Yeah, the Bears are giving up 133.8 yards on the ground a game. That's not good, and I would certainly want to test that. If that's happening, force them to prove that they can, because so far they haven't. But yeah, good point there. There might be an opportunity with some backups at play. And listen, man, I don't know if you guys pay close enough attention watching Josh Jacobs run, but he doesn't look like a fun guy to tackle. I'll bet after tackling him the 4th, 5th, 6th time, you're probably over it. It's been a long day at the office at that point. And so, yeah, I would absolutely try to hammer that one home. I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers' game plan was more conservative for that reason, or looked more conservative, because the Bears, they have to prove that they can stop the run. If you're giving up 133 on the ground per game, you got to prove to me that you can stop the run before I'm going to, take any other risks. That doesn't mean I'm not going to pass the ball at all, but you'll start off the game on the ground. And what I would love to see is start off the game on the ground, but then bring out the play action. I've been begging for that. And, they're starting to do some of that misdirection stuff. But, yeah, I think that would be just a really difficult formula for the Bears to stop. But you got to prove you can, man. If you're giving up 133 a game, you have to prove to me that you can. I'm not going to stop until you do. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do have a real hard commitment to running the ball. But again, I hope we see them open it up at least enough to win the game, because we're seeing Jordan Love heat up. We're seeing things click. We're getting receivers back. This offense should have firepower. So
yeah, I think they will be opened up enough. Like, this isn't going to be a real conservative game plan, but I also don't think he's going to come out there and be, thrown it 45 times. I think it's a running game starting there, and then I think they're going to build off of that play action, take their shots downfield, and be aggressive that way. But I still think they're going to be aggressive in this game. I don't think this is going to be, I shouldn't say, but I don't think this is going to be a conservative game plan. I think they're going to stay aggressive, but they're going to be really focused on trying to get that running game going and trying to find balance.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what I would expect too. So we'll see. Do we should get some injury statuses here, because we got
there were some interesting ones today.
We got our friend Bill asking, what is the status of Colin Oliver? Now, some of you might have forgotten who this individual is, that he even exists, that Colin Oliver is a Packers football player.
Yeah, rookie. Was he 5th round pick, 5th or 6th?
Yeah, something like that.
Haven't seen him. He's been hurt basically the whole time. But they did open up his practice window, so he's going to start practicing this week. He's got 3 weeks, and then they have to make a decision whether to activate him or keep him on IR. I would think they're just going to keep him on IR unless there's other injuries, or unless they see, like, hey, we're going to activate him. He's going to play special teams and maybe like a situational pass rusher. But we'll see. I wouldn't expect anything this year out of Oliver, but you never know. You may get that activation. They also opened the practice windows for Brenton Cox, who got hurt, I think, week 1 or week 2. So he's got 3 weeks. That's interesting because Van Ness is still dealing with an injury. So I would think at some point Cox will be activated and back on the roster. And then Marshawn Lloyd, he's got 3 weeks now too. His window's open too. So that'll be interesting if he can stay healthy. I would certainly think they're going to give him all 3 weeks to prove he's healthy, especially because he's in 2 years now. He's played 1 football game in the regular season. But he may be back at some point too. But I would think it's, probably 3 weeks from now. I think they're going to give him the full practice window. So, yeah, that's, as you're bringing up number 32, that's 32 there. So Lloyd, at least, is coming back, or he's getting closer now. He's going to start practicing. And then the big one on who I think we're going to see this week is Jaden Reed.
Jaden Reed, let's go.
I think he'll be back.
Is Golden coming back? What's the deal with Golden? Is he holding out now?
He's not holding out. He had the shoulder injury and he missed the Eagles game. Then he came back for the Giants game and got hurt there. Now it's a wrist injury, so he missed the Vikings and the Lions game. So he's missed 3 out of the last 4. But it sounds like he may be a possibility. I did see one of the writers posted before the Lions game. He was on the field running routes and working out and stuff. So it seems like he's close. So we may get him this week. I think we're going to get Jaden Reed. Seems like they're going to, LaFleur wouldn't give it away yet. I'm sure they're not going to give it away until they have to activate him on Saturday before the game. But I think Reed will be back this week, maybe Golden. And then I would hope Quay Walker's back too. With his next
no reports there.
Yeah, nothing yet. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's anything major, but it's 2 games now. So hopefully he's back, and with the extra little mini bye after the Thursday game, hopefully he's back and ready to go too.
Yeah, that's a big one. I think being without Wyatt and Walker, I think would be a problem.
But I think McDuffie's been playing good for them. Definitely better than I thought. Like I thought, well, the Vikings didn't have a quarterback to really target him, but I thought like the Lions would be a tough matchup for McDuffie, and it wasn't. He played damn good. They shut down Jahmyr Gibbs, and so I think McDuffie's been doing a solid job for them.
No, the Packers are really, and I talked about this early in the season. They really are demonstrating they can do the next man up thing, and that's what I was looking forward to when we were talking to them early in the season about the potential, and there's depth at all these positions, and it's true, right? You run into injuries, right, and that's what we're talking through now. But the injuries that they've had happen they've been able to absorb them for the most part without any kind of real catastrophic issues. You've had, Jaden Reed going down that would hurt another team. That would completely change their offense. The Packers were able to really march through that, and Marshawn Lloyd the same way, Golden the same way, and I think the defense is able to do the same thing. Like McDuffie is playing well. Anytime he's been on the field, he's playing good. It's not even that he's just not screwing up. He's playing well. So that to me is the mark of a championship team. I don't know how good the Bears are handling the next man up mentality. We're going to find out a little bit about that, I think. But that's a big deal, man. Like that's how they won in 2010. And it's funny, Marshawn Lloyd coming back. It's like, didn't James Starks come back like right before the playoffs in 2010?
I was going to bring that up. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. It was late, and Starks was like a rookie. Which Lloyd's in his second year, but we really haven't seen him because all the injuries.
Right.
And it was like right down at the end. Yeah, it was late in the year. And Starks came in. He had a big game or two going into the playoffs.
He was part of the reason they went on the run. He had he stepped up like 130 something a game through the playoffs. It was crazy.
I know he had a big game the wild card round against the Eagles. But yeah, Lloyd will be interesting. Like I think they're going to give him this full 3 weeks before they make a decision, but if they activate him and he gets a chance, like he's got some explosive ability that the other backs don't have. So, he might get a chance to get a few carries here and there. We'll see. And I still think there's a long way to go. And like Emmanuel Wilson's played well. Brooks is really good in pass protection. So and he plays special teams. So I don't think Lloyd's like jumping those guys, but if he can get healthy, get on the field, and get activated, maybe he gets a carry or two here and there, and he shows something, and who knows? He could carve out a role for himself down the stretch.
Well, they've been excited about getting him on the field, and when we've seen it, we've seen some flashes. But yeah, there's a lot to still learn about number 32. So yeah, so I guess just to recap real quick what we've got here, as far as practice windows opening, you've got Colin Oliver, you got Brenton Cox. You got Marshawn Lloyd, and Jaden Reed's already opened, but they are potentially getting him back this week.
Yeah, the other three won't be back this week. Unless
they're practicing.
Couldn't imagine any. Yeah. They're. Oliver hasn't practiced since they drafted him, so he's going to definitely get reps, and they're not going to activate Lloyd this quick, or even Cox. Cox has been out since whatever year. I think it was week 1 he got hurt, or maybe week 2. So. Yeah, but Reed could definitely be activated this week, and then Quay may be back, and Golden may be back. So, yeah, they're starting to see. Unfortunately, though, obviously, we talked about they lost Wyatt.
Yep. So that's there's a lot there happening, a lot left to be seen. We'll see how who ends up coming back. But again, next man up is working, so let's ride with it. Let's go with who we got and do the damn thing. All right, guys. Comment section. Time to get your predictions in. All right, we got this game here against the Bears. What do you think is going to happen? What's our score prediction here? How do we get there? How do we, Tim, lead us out here? What is the Packers' path to beating the Bears at Lambeau this weekend?
Run the ball well, have balance on offense, avoid the turnovers that the Bears have been living off of defensively. Be aggressive, but protect the football. And I think you ride Josh Jacobs. I think he can have a big game this week. And then Jordan Love's playing great. He's got the hot hand. Let the man deal. Christian Watson really playing well for him. We saw Wick step up. You're going to get potentially Reed back. Like more guys are contributing. I think Watson's the guy for him. Trying to get the ball to in his hands, targeting him the most out of your receivers. And then defensively, slow down that running game. I don't think they're going to completely shut it down like they did with the Lions running game, or at least to Jahmyr Gibbs. But you got to slow it down. You can't let them do it to you what they were doing to the Eagles, because it's going to be really tough to win a football game if they're able to run the ball with that much success. But put them in the obvious passing situations and then keep Caleb Williams in the pocket. Make him hold the football, because you have the dude that's going to get home if the quarterback's holding the ball. And it'd be real nice if their defense could get some takeaways, right? If we could win the turnover battle this week. Because the Packers haven't turned it over much this year, but they haven't gotten many takeaways. So it'd be real nice to get that. So, yeah, I think from a defensive standpoint, slow down the run and keep Williams in the pocket where he can't get out and make those scramble plays, the off-schedule throws. And then offensively, ride Jacobs and ride Jordan Love.
Yeah, man, that sounds like a good plan to me. I can't disagree with too much of that. Now I think we got a troll in the comments here, and I need to acknowledge this because we got, what is this? Camille Rack says, "What did the Packers do against Philly?" And to that, I will respond, "What did the Bears do against the Lions and the Vikings?" Thank you, Camille. Glad you joined us. All right. So as far as how the Packers are going to mop up the Bears this weekend at Lambeau, hang on a second. Tim, help me out. Get a little weather forecast. See if we got some snow. Can you see, do we have like a 7-day? Because I'm feeling it. I want a snow game. I want this to be a snow game so bad. We've already got the OG of rivalries. It's a meaningful game for the top of the NFC. Give me just some fat, chunky snowflakes falling out of the sky, man.
So, I don't know about snow, but it looks like we got a daytime high of a balmy 19 degrees.
Okay.
And since it's, a 3:25 Lambeau start, they'll be playing in tonight. So
it's going to be dark.
That's a daytime high of 19. So, we're probably.
It's going to be dark.
15-ish, right? The winds don't look like they're very strong.
Okay.
Not calling for snow, but looks like there's some snow in the forecast Monday out there. So maybe it comes in early. Who knows? It's still early in the week, but right now it's looking quite cold for that game.
All right. We got a frozen tundra game, dude. Yes. All right. I love it. I absolutely love it. And it's even sweeter that the Bears are down there planning on building a stadium with a dome on it, you big sissies.
Oh, God. Pathetic.
Bunch of freaking girls. 100, you're one of the oldest teams, man. Come on. Good Lord. Get your skirt off. All right. As far as this game goes, it's going to be a cold game. We got a frozen tundra game. This is the run the ball game. And I know we've seen Jordan Love heating up. It's Toyota-thon, all that. And some of us are going to be mad because we're going to say that LaFleur went back to his conservative ways. But it's going to be the recipe. Keep the ball on the ground. Not the whole game, but a lot of the game. And let Josh Jacobs just hit those guys. Because like I said, especially when it's cold, when it's below freezing, tackling Josh Jacobs is not going to be fun, man. Come fourth quarter, they're not going to do it with the same enthusiasm. I can promise you that. It's not going to be enjoyable. You got to make them do it over and over and over and over again. Just drag them all the way down. What was it? I think it was Saleh said he knew that, a few years ago when he was going against LaFleur, his comments were something like, "I knew the Packers didn't want to swim, or they didn't want to go. They couldn't swim in the deep end," or something like that. This is kind of like that. I don't think the Bears can swim in the deep end if you're just smashing them with Josh Jacobs all the way into the fourth quarter. I don't think they want that game. I don't think they're ready for that game. That's the game that I want. So as we've been griping all season long, and by the way, why is nobody giving Stenavich credit for such a great game? Why is LaFleur only getting the credit? Because I'm not allowed to criticize Stenavich when things go wrong, because he might not be the problem. But here's things going right, I want some credit for Stenavich. Things went really well. Anyway, yeah, like this is the one time that I'm calling for a conservative game plan because I think that's it. I think that's the recipe. That's the frozen tundra recipe. Smash them in the mouth more than they want to be smashed in the mouth. And I think they have just as much ability to do that on the defense. If the Bears want to come in running the ball, they're gonna want to do that. I think the Packers can match that energy. You might have like a 3-3 game at halftime. This might be a really boring game for the fans looking for the fireworks. But I think the Packers eventually wear that. They win that battle of stamina in the cold, and they pull away in the second half. And that's when I think maybe they take the top off a little bit. You come out slinging the ball maybe a little bit in the second half after lulling them to sleep in the first. So I'm going to say the Packers win this game 28-13. 28-13.
Yeah, I like it. Jump on them early. That's my other big.
I would love that. Yeah, I think if you jump on them early, it's a totally different game.
And see what they're made of, right? Like, see what they're made of. Can they come back on the road against a good team? We haven't seen them do that this year, right? Like, take it to them from the start, jump on them early, and then you're going to find out what the Bears are really made of. We'll see from there. So, I like the Packers 27-23.
27-23? Mm-hmm. Okay, a little closer than mine.
Close. Right. I think it's going to be close.
Okay, so we got a few predictions here in the chat. We got Greg Taylor saying Packers 27, Bears 10. I like that. I think me and Greg are on the same page there. And Bill, me and Bill are pretty close too. Bill's got Packers 24, Bears 13. And then we've got Chris the Casual in, my man, coming in with the multi-score butt whooping 34-17 Pack. Love it. Absolutely love it. I think Chris is he's right. Packers by 90. That's what I want to see. And then we got a troll. We got another troll. Gotta love him. Bobby Bronson says Bears going to destroy the Packers. I hate the stupid Packers. That's fine, Bobby. That's cool, man. We got a great rivalry here. Glad you joined us in the chat this evening, and can't wait to talk about it next week after we've mopped the field with you guys. And then we got Bobby Santoros is flying out there Saturday. Should be cold, but looks like no snow. But I love that it'll be cold. Need to shut that punk Ben Johnson up. Yes. Now, let's not forget, Ben Johnson was nice and cozy out there in Detroit under that roof with the nice heating elements whenever the winter comes around. So I don't know that the cold weather is his game. I don't know that it is. I guess we're going to find out. But yeah, so let's enjoy this one, Tim. You got any plans?
Just plan on watching another Packers win.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I'm doing the same thing. Did you have a good Thanksgiving? Did you get all the turkey, all the leftovers, and the fixins and all that?
Ate a lot of lion.
Yeah. Lion. Ooh.
That was a great Thanksgiving. Yes, it was awesome game, and then the other Thanksgiving stuff was great too. But the game was
absolutely
great game.
It would have been nice to see the Bears lose to the Eagles the next day, but beggars can't choose.
Whatever.
We'll be fine.
Yeah.
No, it was a very good Thanksgiving. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. You're still hanging with us this evening. Please spike that like button. Jump on over to the YouTube channel, Packers Talk Network. Hit that subscribe button for us. It helps us out a lot. It only takes you a couple seconds, a couple clicks. Is very little effort. And to be clear, there's no money involved, right? Just letting us know that you want to hear us every Monday night streaming live, talking Pack. Even if you're the trolls, we welcome the Bears trolls and all the trolls. You guys, come on, let's have some fun. The Packers are better anyway, so we can enjoy this. But this is what we've been waiting for. All the offseason, all the stuff. We're waiting for games like this. Just a classic frozen tundra matchup for the top of the NFC between two of the oldest franchises in the NFL and all of football. Just epic. This is just like the stuff that football is made of right here. So enjoy it, Packers fans. Get all the superstitious gear out, whatever your best. If you got to get your Randall Cobb jersey out. I think Bobby, he says Randall Cobb needs to be at this game just to troll the Bears. Guy, love breaking Bears. He is. The Randall Cobb was the bear breaker. So get your Cobb jerseys out, whatever you got to do, and let's get this victory over the Bears here. and take that next step towards being the top of the NFC, making the playoffs and winning the Super Bowl. So until next week, Packers fans, thank y'all for hanging out with us. Enjoy this Packers victory over the Bears. We're willing it into existence. And of course, as always, go, Pack, go.